We have two guests, one in studio this morning, Brad Prince with Liberty. Hi, Brad.
Hey, Ryan.
Great to have you here. In just a second, we're going to get into what you do. Plus, Tilton Reed, who's the CEO of InTouch, joining us over the phone. Good morning, Tilton.
Good morning.
For those that are unfamiliar with exactly what InTouch is, you've been in and around Edmonton for coming up on, about 20 years now, providing social care?
Yes, coming up on 20.
Congratulations. Now, it's not just the aging or the elderly that you're looking after, is it?
Oh, hardly at all. Very much youth and children and young adults.
Okay, good stuff. So when it comes to the types of families that you're working with here, who is involved or who's taking advantage of the services that InTouch provides? Who's your so-called demographic or target audience?
Oh, really, we're working with individuals and families who have a loved one with a disability, and we're just trying to help out people who have some complex behavioral concerns, and really try to help them integrate into the community and enjoy the full benefits of being an Edmontonian.
Good stuff. So now, as mentioned here in studio as well, Brad Prince here with Liberty. Brad, your company's been around Edmonton for about 10 years now. You're the business development manager when it comes to seniors care, and the connection here, the reason why the two of you are on the program together is a new development called InTouch. What's this all about, and why are so many people, would you suggest, going to be able to obviously probably see a transformation in how they're able to monitor their loved ones that they're not necessarily living under the same roof?
Yeah, so we offer a passive monitoring solution, and this is the new part. Usually, and how it's used is for at-risk individuals or somewhat at-risk individuals. So Tilton with InTouch, some of his clients fit that at-risk profile. But then we also have a large number of users that want to be in the know as to what's going on in the homes of their elderly loved ones. We know that most people want to live at home through their senior years, and so this InTouch product allows them to do that, and for the family to allow them to do that with reducing worry and preventing regret situations like that.
Okay, before we go any further, when I'm talking about this InTouch wireless home safety system, is monitoring the correct word to use? It sounds kind of Big Brother-ish,
for sure,
doesn't it?
Yeah, so it would be, you could use that word, but let me explain. So the reason it's not Big Brother-ish is because it's just family and caregivers who are monitoring, and so these people have pretty intimate relationships with these people anyways.
And this is a home that would be outfitted with sensors all throughout the home.
That's right, yeah. So just a handful of small passive sensors. So these are motion sensors and door sensors, and then a bed sensor or favorite chair sensor in some cases. So there's no video, there's no audio. It's just where is their movement and what doors are opening. It's pretty exciting to know what sort of proactive information you can get just from movement in rooms and certain doors opening. Yeah.
Tilton, how is your agency InTouch incorporating this new technology, which, by the way, we should point out has been developed right here in Edmonton?
Right.
Yeah, I think the way we see it is it's information. So we actually have staffing in the home, so it's not like somebody's by themselves. But what it gives us information as to exactly what's going on in the homes, and then provides us with some accountability. We receive public dollars, and so we want information to justify how we're spending those dollars and showing that we're doing a good job. So it's more to us than just finding out what people are up to.
Yeah, well, no, of course. Tilton, when it comes to monitoring, do you call them clients? Is that the phrase that you would use?
That term is up in the air. Really, we like to refer to people as individuals with disabilities.
Right.
But it's not inappropriate to refer to them as clients. Like, we do work for these people.
Or residents, maybe.
Residents. Sure.
What sort of challenges does your staff encounter when it comes to, and again, I have to use this word, monitoring residents, when it comes to keeping an eye on those that they've been entrusted with their care? How much of a challenge is posed?
It's very challenging. This is it's not a job that's easy. And even when there's somebody with people 24 hours a day, there's still assistance that could be had. There's people who are very clever at escaping and all sorts of other things too. But at the same time, it's also good for them to be able to prove that they've got meals out to people on time and delivered medication at appropriate times without just relying on the perception of and how people see them.
Yeah, I mean, this is, and I'm taking a look here at sort of how this works, and people can check it out online as well on Liberty's website. We'll mention that in just a second, but this is a way, I suppose, for, I would imagine, family members of your residents to be able to quite literally have updates and pop-ups by checking out this app through the day.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole thing about the fishbowl is huge for us, and being able to be transparent to stakeholders. And so as we develop this product with Brad and the Liberty team, that is exactly the type of things we're looking at doing.
Brad, how innovative would you say this is? And I want to just acknowledge here, like, this isn't, you're not paying to be here. This is not a paid spot. And I know that you're not just going to sit here and push your product. The fact is it's developed in Edmonton. It's an Edmonton company. It's interesting. And I know that as we have an aging population here, more and more people are interested in this kind of stuff. But what's so different about this than the other stuff out there? Everybody knows the commercial, I've fallen and I can't get up. Like, everybody knows that. What's different about this?
Yeah, great question. So we do usually get put into that pile of the personal emergency response, those are called. Help, I've fallen and can't get up. The reason this is different is this system shows leading indicators of challenges in the home, whereas Help, I've fallen and can't get up, the uses are when the emergency has already occurred or is occurring. And those systems are effective if the individual is wearing the button, only if they're wearing the button, and in some cases for newer systems, mobile personal emergency response systems, if the button's charged. So this doesn't rely on if someone's wearing it, although it does integrate with a personal emergency response button. So if someone, elderly loved one, is sleeping in more than regular, there might be a challenge in 2 weeks, but someone can get notified. Family members might get a text message if mom's still in bed at 11 and we know she's always up at 8. Or if no one's left the house all day, or if the fridge hasn't been opened for 2 days, or if the medicine cabinet hasn't been opened for a day. All these are leading indicators and just opportunities for a conversation before there's a challenge in a month or two.
No, and I can certainly see the value there, though. You also know at the same time, mom's just like, I wanted to sleep in. Like, why is everyone doing hassling me? Yeah. Tilton, I would imagine that your staff are probably not going to be monitoring this as sort of diligently as family members may be, because you're obviously talking about, what, dozens or even hundreds of people?
And it may not be my staff per se as much as it be my admin team, and we monitor it very diligently. Because this is about accountability, right? So we want to make sure that we're providing exactly what needs to be provided. So it helps with our programming, it helps with all sorts of things. So yeah, this is something we watch.
And family members of your residents, Tilton, would have access to the sensors in their loved ones' residences?
At this point in time, they do not.
Okay.
But this is still very new for us. So we're still within our first 6 months, and we're still running trials. So this is not quite agency-wide yet. We're about 50% up and going. And so, yeah, that is definitely the goal, is we will definitely be turning over control and optics to the parents for sure.
Brad, how early stage is this product? I mean, is this just been developed this year? I mean, is it available to the public? Where's it at?
Yeah, so it's about 7 months old. It shouldn't be thought of as a totally new product, though. The sensors, the stuff that sense activity, the door contacts, the motion sensors, this is stuff that's been around for years and years and years. The new and novel part is that the back end, the online integration that creates text messages around activity or movement, as well as inactivity, or if doors aren't opening, or if motion isn't happening, text messages or emails. So that's the new and novel part. That's what's 8 months old.
And can people customize their own alerts? They can say, here's what I'd like to know about, here's what that sort of a thing. I mean, could you even have can you have a sensor on the fridge door, whether or not it's opening, the toilet, whether or not it's flushing? I mean, can you get that specific?
Right. So fridge door, yes. Toilet, no. But
I think Tilton's laughing.
Totally customizable. You gave the example of mom who wants to sleep in. Sure, so we don't want notifications going to people all the time. So notifications should be set so that it really is anomaly or almost anomaly situation when those are going out. And otherwise, everyone's living their life as they want to, totally independently.
Tilton, is there anything that, before we let you go and get on with the rest of your day, any side or angle to this that I haven't asked you about that you think is worth mentioning when it comes to caring for the elderly or persons with disabilities?
I think the last thing is just mentioning that this can really help set up a routine and program for a person that's natural to them. Too often we try to push our own agendas, And when you can actually observe somebody naturally without intruding on their privacy with cameras or microphones or these types of things, you can create something that's quite natural.
Yeah. That's kind of the sense I get to it as well. It's this is all new territory, though. I mean, like the infusion of technology to me into personal and patient care is a fascinating topic. We're going to keep Brad Prince here in studio. Tilton Reed, the CEO of InTrust. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And you can learn more about InTrust online. We'll fit in a quick break. If you have a question about this is this InTouch kind of a, well, you don't want me to call it a monitoring system, do you? But that's kind of what it is.
Yeah,
it's a monitoring.
Passive monitoring.
Passive monitoring. That's what I did through my high school years. I passively monitored all of my classes. Brad Prince is hanging out with us from Liberty. If you have a question, you know where to text it, 630-630. You can also call in right now, 780-496-0063. Brad Prince sitting here in studio. He's the business development manager for senior care with Liberty, an Edmonton-based company, been around for about 10 years. Brad, your company's been doing home security for a long time. So this is kind of, it would strike me, we're talking about a new monitoring system, if you're just joining us, called InTouch, that allows loved ones and caregivers to keep an eye passively, you've described it, through a series of notifications or text messages if there's movement or if there's not movement in a home based on how you've set the system up. I would imagine there's probably going to be existing customers that have motion sensors in their home. Can they transition this or upgrade this, update it to provide this new benefit?
Yes, for sure. All of our customers that have home security systems, non-customers that have home security systems, these people have 80% of what it takes to have an InTouch system. And so we add a few sensors, a small addition to their service plan, like $4 a month addition, small. And now they have home security as well as this passive monitoring.
I know what you guys are doing. I mean, you're obviously tapping into a need here because our population's aging, but your customers are aging too, right? I mean, it's a pretty business savvy move too.
Yeah, the fortunate part is when you pay attention to your customers and what they need, when you're filling jobs in their lives, then it ends up making good business sense. But we are more customer focused than trying to be out there running the business machine.
How many people? That's a bad way to put it. Let me rephrase. How much of your development, the innovation, the product development, the business, whatever, is based on what people are telling you? In other words, has your customer base, or have Edmontonians, or for that matter, have agencies like InTrust come to you and said, you know what, here's where the deficiencies are for us when it comes to monitoring or when it comes to providing care, and what do you think you might be able to do for us? And how much of it is you and your team trying to put your finger on the pulse of it and trying to sort of blaze that trail yourself?
Probably about 50-50. So we've installed about 40,000 residential security systems in Western Canada in the last 10 years. We also service about 80 healthcare facilities in terms of wandering patient, nurse call. These would be more long-term care kind of facilities. And so there's the long-term care situation, and then there's the everyday home user. And we just see a need, and part of what we've got is feedback from clients for individuals to be able to be at home for as long as possible. And so this same technology that's in their home will allow them to do that, can allow them to do that. You
just said wandering, and it immediately brought to mind, and I don't know if you're on Facebook or not, or Twitter, but we see these heartbreaking posts all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep an eye out for this is my grandfather, or this is my aunt, or whatever, she or he has dementia, 90 years of age, they're gone. We don't, and many times we find these individuals and we're able to bring them home, and then sometimes there's the heartbreaking consequence of they've wandered out into the river valley or it's into the freezing cold, and we lose them. Ultimately, it's dementia that starts to prompt this. These monitoring systems, most specifically with being able to monitor movement in the home, I would imagine overnight, that kind of a stuff. This is big.
Right. Yeah. So early onset dementia often is nighttime wandering. And so one of the notifications that an InTouch system can send out is, hey, there was an hour of movement in the home last night at 2 a.m. And so it creates an opportunity for a conversation in the following days, allows caregivers, loved ones to be in the know as to what's developing in the home that they might not have otherwise seen. We also have products, as dementia is further along, we have products, mobile personal emergency response or smart souls, where a wandering patient basically, once they leave a certain geofence, it can send a notification with GPS location to loved ones and caregivers. So that's a
It GPS
system.
tracks the patient?
That's right. So if someone wants to have a GPS-based wandering solution, we have those solutions as well. That isn't the Liberty InTouch system, but this is the shelf of products that we need to be able to offer our clients.
Leighton here is listening and just curious to know what the service would cost. And I know that there's probably all different structures and all whatever,
Yep.
depending on how big your home is and how many sensors you want. But what's sort of the ballpark from this much to this much? What's the ish?
It's about $70 a month.
Okay.
So the average cell phone, and installation is anywhere from $100 to $150. So it's really not cost prohibitive.
You know, if you want to start a fight in some families, you tell grandpa that maybe he needs to get his eyes tested or maybe he shouldn't be driving
Sure.
anymore.
Yeah.
And it's understandable why there's pushback, because a lot of people gauge their independence and how independent they are on what they're still able to do. Has there been, or do you foresee any pushback from seniors or from those living with disabilities who are uncomfortable with being monitored so heavily that an hour of movement at 2 a.m. is going to prompt a call from a loved one, or they're being GPS monitored if they
Right.
leave the geo footprint of the home?
Yeah. So we often get a little bit of pushback at the start. Once we're able to explain the system for a minute or two, then the at-risk individual sees the InTouch system as part of the ticket to then be able to age exactly where they are for another 5 or 10 years. So once they see the system as an enabler, instead of this eventual have to move back in with loved ones or have to move to an assisted or independent living facility, it's the ticket to stay exactly where they are for another 5 years, then people are on board.
Really interesting stuff. Pretty neat that it's developed right here in Edmonton as well. Brad Prince is the Business Development Manager for Senior Care with Liberty. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
Yeah, thanks. If your listeners have any other questions, they can go to www.libertysecurity.ca.
libertysecurity.ca.